Republican budget, which our colleagues here fought against because they are wildly disinvesting in our community, including just cutting all funding altogether for U of M and MSU,
Yes.
among many other things. So I am actually going to just turn this over to Rep. Steckloff and make this the Rep. Steckloff show. So
Oh, well, you know I love that.
she sits on the
I love how
budget.
everyone laughs.
She
'cause
sits
they
on the
all know.
budget committee. Rep. Hoskins and I do not. So this is her strong suit. So I don't have anything more to say until we go to Q&A. So do you
Until
have
he tries to
anything?
ring me back in.
All right.
Rep. Steckloff representing the 19th House District, Northern Farmington Hills, Northern Southfield, Beverly Hills, Bingham Farms, Franklin, Southfield Township, Southern Bloomfield, Western Birmingham. I came from Dorr, so excuse my attire today. It was kind of a wonderful day to be on Doors because a lot of people are interested in what we're going to talk about. So I serve on all appropriations committees. I am in my third term. I have always served on appropriations committees. And this past week, shockingly, the House Republicans actually got a budget out. But not only that, they actually followed what you're supposed to do. And so for those of you that are new here today, we talk about how the budget process works. Every February, the governor comes in, she releases her recommendation, and then the House and the Senate put forth their individual budgets. We vote them out of the House, the Senate votes the Senate versions out of the Senate, we say no to the Senate says no to the House, and that is what starts conference committee when you get into a room and actually negotiate the budget. So this past week and a half, the Republicans released their budget, and I serve on school aid, I serve on Eagle, and joint capital outlay. So I'm going to focus a lot of the attention on the subcommittees that I serve on, but also want to focus on what is happening in DHHS, because that's going to affect so many of us. So for the school aid budget, nothing new, it's pretty much the same old, same old. We are now required in the House budget for new literacy programs. And while literacy programs are important, the chair has decided to specifically focus on 5 areas only, and these 5 areas come out of Mississippi. So we are not allowed to use anything else. No other state's curriculum, only what Mississippi is doing. Yes, your face is correct. WTF. Yes.
This is just the reading because of their new reading program and how much it accelerated.
That's a different situation.
Oh.
So now with the reading, there's different tiers, and there's also new tiers that have to do with special education and ISDs. Oh God, I need my budget with me because there's gonna be a lot of questions. Yes.
Girlfriend from Alabama here, okay? The biggest joke was, well, at least you don't go to school in Mississippi.
Yes.
I mean, they just recently increased the reading because they did a new reading program. Now, the reading program I've heard is really excellent, but you're not talking about just a reading program. You're talking about entire educational standards?
Just for the literacy, meaning that the only places we are allowed to purchase supplemental texts, supplemental tutoring, that kind of stuff is through these 5 programs that go through Mississippi. Now we're also required to do something similar for mathematics, but it's not following the Mississippi model. This one is just random. But I don't want to focus too much on that. They did increase the per pupil funding for the same amount that the governor did. One of the biggest, let me take a step back. One of the biggest things that we have been trying to focus on in school aid is something called a weighted formula. And a weighted formula is very important because it takes your typical student who doesn't need much extra help, who's maybe from the suburbs, doesn't have a far place to travel for transportation, your typical education student. And then we move to the right. Let's say you have some problems, you need more help with English as a second language, or you're from the Upper Peninsula and your transportation costs and miles are just exponentially larger. Maybe you need a little bit more help in some of the side focuses, like mathematics and reading. So all of these things, what we were trying to do, and what every organization, the principals, the school boards, the intermediate school, the districts, all wanted something called a weighted formula, where you start with that one student, so $10,300, and then if they need an extra help, and it continues to move like that. So each student is technically being treated the same, just monetarily it's moving different. So this is something that we've been trying to do for a very long time, because it also allows school districts to understand the funding they can expect each year. So there's never a guessing game like we had, especially last year. And we had committee after committee hearing about weighted formula, and it was not in the Republican budget. And we asked numerous times, why did they not include this? And the chair kept saying it was for a negotiation tactic. So I don't know if weighted formula is going to make it all the way through, but the expectation was to see it in this budget. We also, good news though, is we did keep free breakfast and lunch for all students. So the speaker has decided to create a new program called HUBS. Something.
All universal breakfast and lunch, something with an
So
S.
HUBS is now the new thing for Matt Hall, and it includes free breakfast and lunch for every student, so also in private schools.
Can you just talk about how crazy this is, though?
I did not expect that craziness to come back.
You know, this was a program that we, as our Democratic majority, put in place, which we are proud of.
Very
We
proud.
actually should enshrine it into law, so we don't have to just guess and hope and wish that a future budget will include universal meals and breakfasts. This guy, who's the Speaker of the House, is such a Trump wannabe that he took our program and named it after himself.
No.
Which is really sucky, because I called my husband the HUBS, so now I can't do that. But they hit a caveat in this budget to make it even worse. So let's say you have a vending machine in your school, or you have a high school and you have a concession stand that sells candy and pop. How many of you, your school, sell candy and pop?
That's how the football team and
Exactly.
the track
Well,
team
you would
make
no
their money.
longer be eligible for the free breakfast and lunch.
Wait, what?
Yes. So if anywhere in your school, if you sell candy or pop, and yes, it is actually pop in the budget language, you will not be eligible for free breakfast and lunch.
Okay, hold on.
And the rationale being.
Yeah.
Maha, make America healthy again.
Oh, geez.
So what is this called again?
Well,
Robert
there's-
Kennedy's.
Yeah, so
No.
we got,
I mean, the state budget, like, if people
Hubs.
want to contact someone to say this is a bad idea, who do we go to?
You should just put Matt Hall's phone number
Yeah.
in your favorites. We could give you 100 reasons to call him and tell them this is not a good idea.
I mean, this is the Republican House budget?
yes. Yes. So we offered up a few amendments. We tried to get that sticking point taken out. Of course, we were voted no. But the one thing that I'm really stuck on is there's a section 16A, and it affected me so much that I actually gave a floor speech on this. And the way it's written is about curriculum in your school districts. And you will not be able to focus any curriculum that has to do with anything about a specific gender, religion, race, so on and so on. So we wouldn't be able to teach World War II. We wouldn't be able to teach the women's suffrage movement. We wouldn't be able to teach the Trail of Tears. We wouldn't be able to teach about slavery. We wouldn't be able to teach about the Japanese internment camps. And we have a law in the books since 2016 that you have to teach about the Holocaust. You have to teach about genocide. So I put forth an amendment to have that stricken from the budget. It was voted down. But that's something that really, really concerns me, because we're continuing to go after what our schools should be teaching. We're continuing to harm and punish public schools for making sure that young people understand the history
Yes.
of America, so they have the tools necessary to lead in the future. Because if we don't know about our history, how can we stop it from repeating itself? So that's a little bit about the school aid budget. I don't want to spend too much time on it because a lot of it's going to change, but those are some of my extreme concerns. Another thing that we're looking at is something as simple as the Eagle budget. It's the smallest budget we have. It's the environment, Great Lakes, and energy. And the chair of this committee represents Sheboygan. And I'm sure you've all heard about Sheboygan in the news recently with northern Michigan under extreme caution and critical infrastructure. And the chair who represents this area cut all funding for dam repairs. He cut all funding for the dam restoration program. I offered the amendment to put that back in, and he, along with the rest of the committee members, voted it down.
And
It
and
is
what
what-
was his rationale for that?
I think it's they're putting it under the bucket of this fake thing called waste, fraud, and abuse. That this is money we're spending that is just wasteful money that doesn't help anyone. But when you look at these budgets, particularly in that budget, they cut the budget by 50%. 36% of that 36% of that is restricted funds. So it's not like these funds are not being used and can come back to the state and be used in other projects. These are funds from the federal government that you all pay for that they said, no, we don't want it, send it back to DC. So you're going to see billions of dollars throughout this budget that are being sent back to DC.
And DC will then send it back to us.
Well, no, I mean, they're gonna send it to like Mississippi.
Not New Orleans, but
Yeah,
Mississippi.
so there's a lot of issues with this budget. Now I wanna talk about DHHS. And you're gonna hear a lot about these ghost employees. You heard a lot about that last year. That they cut 3,300 and something ghost employees. And they're saying that these are positions that are open but have never been filled. But what they're going off of is the past whatever year it was. So say, you know, in 2013, we only had 100 state troopers. Well, we only need 100 state troopers today. So the rest of those positions are being cut. That's what they're saying. And I'm not sure if you are all aware right now, but along 696, because they have cut so many of our Michigan State Police funding, if you call 911 and you're on 696, state police isn't gonna help you anymore. Now it's your local government. So you are being double taxed as a resident because you have to pay your local government for that service and now the state government for that service. So no, that is not saving you money. But I want to talk about like our corrections officers specifically. So our corrections officers are at an all-time high in overtime pay. So when they're talking about cutting these positions and saying we're going to save, let's just make it an easy $100 million. What they're not telling you is that they're saving $100 million, but $75 million of that is going to pay overtime. So they're not saving you $100 million. They're saving you $25 million while making these poor corrections officers' lives absolutely miserable. But the same is going to happen with our health services. So because of HR 1, and I'm sure my colleagues up here would love to talk more about this, the way that they now have reporting requirements for SNAP benefits, Medicaid, it is requiring us to hire about 900 additional employees for those two specific things. 900 employees. Unfortunately, because we never needed these 900 employees before, these are considered ghost employees. So those 900 employees that are being forced upon us to hire, are not being allowed to be hired because the Republicans in the House have taken away those jobs.
Questions, when you mean there's 900 employees, is that a federal mandate or is that a state mandate?
It's not a mandate. The mandate is that we now have to do reporting requirements for people who are on SNAP benefits, who are on Medicaid, have to now do reporting requirements based on HR 1. So there's specific guidelines, and because the states implement Medicaid and SNAP benefits, we have to do the reporting requirements. So we now need to hire 900 new people just to handle that workload. And this also does not include the $2 billion that got cut last year for Medicaid and SNAP benefits that we had to find the money for. Now we're looking at another $2 billion. So we are drowning over here in how we can actually fund the necessities for the state of Michigan. And they continue to talk about, let's repeal property taxes, let's do this. I mean, we're already drowning. Now, we have been able to put forth a budget by the governor that has been able to balance the budget. I'm almost positive the Senate will be coming out with a fabulous budget
We are.
that also balances the budget.
It will.
But the House has some major concerns. So I don't know if that kind of lit up when you hear ghost employees, what they're talking about. They're talking about employees that are not mandated, but are needed by the mandates from HR 1.
Any questions?
Will those employees be contract employees, or will they actually work for the state?
State
They will
employees,
be,
yes,
okay.
yes.
AI.
We,
I mean, I'm sorry, there's so much, I'm, right now in my profession alone, in architecture, that I'm starting to use for AI, and I would think that something like checking stock.
AI is being used more and more in the federal government. In the state government, you're not seeing it as much. But that brings us to a really big policy discussion that's going on, and that we have bills introduced in the state about guardrails on AI. I don't know if you've seen recently what's coming out in AI from overseas, but you actually have these things like fighting jiu-jitsu. They're running. I mean, these things look like human beings. They act like human beings. And what scares me is there's a lot of jobs involved. You're looking at skilled trades. You're looking at intellectual property. So we do have some bills being worked on throughout the state legislature right now that put on guardrails for AI.
Okay, but I'm talking about the state using AI for something like the HR 1 mandate.
They probably are looking into it, but I haven't heard that.
Okay.
That's a good thing for me to bring back to next community conversation.
Yeah,
Have you
well,
guys heard anything
I've heard
about the
anything
state
about that,
using
no.
AI?
Well, my concern with that is then privacy concerns, because once you ask Claude or whoever to do something for you, where does that go? Do you have any control over that from the, I mean.
Yes.
And especially if you have, HHR and having AI do anything in that arena, what happens to privacy?
That depends
Well,
on where
we
you're
will keep
keeping-
you updated as these bills make their way
There's
through.
a lot of depending on how they set up the
Yes,
AI.
but AI is definitely going to be one of the biggest, hottest topics you hear about. Yes.
It's an evergreen statement.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about the budget. We'll see where it goes. It was voted out of, we had a 22-hour day on Wednesday. So we did get it voted out. It just head to the Senate, and I know the Senate is planning on sending their budgets over to the House probably this week or the following week.
This week, yeah, we're gonna have some late nights in Lansing on Tuesday and Wednesday, as we're crafting our budget. And again, the budget is due per law to be passed on June 30th. Because our schools and our cities and townships start their budget on July 1st and need to know what they're working with. We also have a deadline by the Constitution to pass a budget by September 30th because the fiscal year starts October 1st. So we're very hopeful we can meet the law, which we did not meet last year because of
We didn't meet
the House,
anything last year.
the House not willing to do so. Not these folks, but the House leadership. And we only passed a budget, you know, in the wee hours of October 1st, and then it was only a temporary budget for a week, and then it took till about October 4th or 3rd for us to pass a real budget. So this is the beginning of the process. So our budgets in the Senate come out this week, and we'll have long days continuing to craft them. So I can't give a comprehensive report on it just because we're finalizing what's in there. But definitely you can come to our Bloomfield community conversation, which I believe is next week. Or you can stay tuned on where we're at when we come and reconvene here at the end of May. And hopefully we're on the path to passing a budget. I'll say this, and I don't want to jinx anything. At least they're starting earlier.
That's what I
said.
said. We have a very low bar.
They didn't even introduce full budgets until after June 30th last year. How are you going to pass a budget by June 30th when you don't have a budget by June 30th? So, you know, a long runway, hopefully a little bit easier to manage some of these big discrepancies between what you've heard and what we will introduce. But we're moving forward.
Yeah, they also cut Michigan and Michigan State by 63%.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, I can't even give that oxygen because it's just so crazy.
And who bears the costs? The students,
Yes.
the parents who are paying and the students who are paying the tuition. I mean, it's ridiculous. And you know why they're doing that, because they talk about universities being too woke and too DEI. I mean, that's why they're cutting money to higher education, because it doesn't comport with the ideology of MAGA. So challenging, but we are in the beginning of this process, so we'll keep you posted. And it impacts us. It impacts us all around, what the health department can provide, what your local government can provide, which roads are going to be fixed, what your kids' college or university experience is going to be like. So we take this to heart, and we try and fight for the communities here back home. So that's kind of our budget update. I think we could do some policy bills, which I could talk about, unless there are any questions on the budget. We're sticking around.
I just,
Yeah.
we talk about conspiracy theories. Okay, last year, Matt Hall wouldn't do it. I mean, he would entertain a budget. And this year he is. Why?
Election year.
Yeah.
He got his butt kicked last year.
Yeah. Rightfully so.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. We all blame him for the chaos, but guess what? Republicans blame him too. His constituents blame them too. So it's changing. He's changing the timeline, but I don't know that he's changing the tactics.
You know, we voted on the budget. I remember we drove up right after family dinner for breaking the fast, and we voted on a budget finally at 5 a.m. You know, half the Republicans didn't even know it was in the budget and didn't know what it was like until after. And that's why they are so mad at the speaker, which is why I think that pressure that we put on our Republican colleagues really worked this year. But this also gives us more time for negotiations. So while
What's it
this,
supposed to be?
well, I mean, while the bar is very low here, you know, we still have time before June 30th. And so if we're gonna focus on anything good, we're gonna focus on that.
Which is why I think Jason and I, who don't serve on the budget committee, so I chair different committees in the legislature that aren't even going to be meeting this week, because it's all focused on the budget. So, Sam will be our eyes and ears in the House on that, and then I'll give you an update on what comes out of the Senate. We are, though, going to pass some policy bills this week in the Senate that have been worked on for the last few weeks here, dealing with kids and cell phones. So we did pass a law in Michigan that bans kids, students from using cell phones during instructional hour. It doesn't ban them from having cell phones. We know we live in this horrible climate where there are emergencies that happen in schools. Kids need access to their phone. If God forbid, I don't even want to say it, an incident should happen in a school. But what the legislation does is it requires the phone to be stored during instructional time. So ideally how this would work is there would be a cubby or a sleeve over the door, and the student would be checking, I can see your hand, don't worry. And the student would be checking their phone in the sleeve in the door during instructional hours so that they can stay focused on their classroom work. Yes?
Is there some stipulation in there if the phone is used for like a calculator? Because literally, we could spend, my daughter has this honors AP math course, and instead of spending $100 or $200 on a calculator, she downloaded the app. And so she uses that.
It does give the schools the discretion to determine how they will implement the policy. The state told them like, hey, we have this requirement about cell phones in schools. We put in certain caveats for emergencies, but we give the school districts a lot more flexibility in determining how they want to implement that. Where there is like a pouch or, you know, where they determine how it's stored, where it's stored, when it's used. So a teacher could, if it's like, today we're gonna be learning about this particular math, and we need to use those calculators, then a teacher will have that discretion to be able to say, okay, you can pull out your cell phones if you have your calculators on that.
Okay, great.
So continuing that kind of, you have a question? Yeah, go ahead.
This is just for K through 12?
Yes, yes.
I teach at a college, I was just.
Yes, K through 12. So continuing that momentum of trying to reduce dependency on phones, increase mental health outcomes, rein in big tech from preying on children, we are going to pass a series of bills which we're calling Kids Over Clicks. And it is very much holding big tech companies accountable for unethical practices that prey on kids. So one of the biggest challenges is when you scroll through your feed and then there's another video and another video and another video, it never ends. Actually, you could scroll forever. I don't know if any of you have tried that. So we're requiring that these companies identify when their consumers are minors, that the scrolling has to end. There has to be an end to the feed, and that they can't be utilized during hours that students should be sleeping. You cannot target a minor using these algorithms and these endless feeds. I don't know I can't remember what the hours are, but it's sleeping hours. And we are really moving forward on protecting kids. We would also mandate stricter data and privacy settings for minors, while also giving parents more control over their kids' online accounts. And also reining in these chatbots, like ChatGPT and others, to prevent them from giving any harmful, self-harm information to kids, so that they can't seek out queries that would produce dangerous outcomes. Which we've seen over and over again. You know, kids do look up about harming others or harming themselves. We are going to prevent chatbots from producing harmful information in how to conduct harmful information on themselves or on others. So these bills will come out of the Senate tomorrow, and we will send them over to our House counterparts, which we hope this can get some bipartisan support to take up. So these are Senate Bills 757, 758, 759, and 760. 758 through 757 through 760.
And I'm not sure if you guys are aware, we do have a videographer in the back who he volunteers his time. Hi everyone. And so if you ever need to rewatch something, you can look at the YouTube channel that he has. Do you want to give that information out?
The name of the YouTube channel is Den of the Ciphered Wolf.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Den of the Ciphered Wolf.
Den of the Ciphered Wolf. This is the Ciphered Wolf.
I spell cipher.
CYPHERED. WOF.
I wouldn't have gotten a single one of those.
All right. Den of the ciphered wolf.
You can watch years of me on council, and this This is a good use, a good service that you're lending to the community. We
Yeah,
appreciate it.
appreciate you.
Thanks.
Yes. So those are some policy bills moving this week. What do you got going on?
Heavy sigh.
It is, it is, so I think I said in one of these meetings a few months ago that the speaker's goal is to pass as little legislation as possible. In fact, I think his goal was to pass 20 bills by July. To put that in perspective, last term, we would pass 20 bills in a day. So it's slow. It is, we do take up pieces of legislation, but it is, the bird, state bird.
State duck, state duck.
State duck, yes,
Not
that
the
was one of
bird,
things
the
we
duck.
voted on. Creating a state duck, for example. So it's tough to get a lot of pieces of legislation through. I know one of the things that we're hoping to get through in a bipartisan fashion, Senator Moss and I have been working on legislation to ban price gouging during emergencies. We've had a number of things happen over the last few weeks. That tornadoes come through, the governor had to do an executive order around gas, and this is things that.
We're in a gas emergency,
Yes, right in this
as declared by the governor.
And these are things that actually Senator Moss and I have been working on for quite a long time to be able to regulate into state law as opposed to having like the governor, for example, do an executive order. And we've been working pretty hard. This is something we started, this is a venture we started in 2017 when there was a major windstorm that came through, actually around this time, around April I think. Major windstorm came through the state, took out power for millions of people, and we had someone reach out to us. Actually, he was the owner of a restaurant, and right next door to the restaurant in Southfield, there was a motel that typically they have like, I don't know, $59.99 flashing, but they were charging people $350 a night
Oh my
to stay at this hotel because people were like, power's out, they needed somewhere to stay, so, and this motel is not, it is not somewhere you would want to stay. It is the exact, it is $59.99 was even too much to be charged for this. But when you're desperate, desperate times call for desperate measures, and so these people were getting gouged.
Well, is this not America? And is this not the land of what's wrong with a business trying to, take
Advantage.
Well, take advantage of an opportunity to, make some money.
Well,
Coming from somewhere where we had hurricanes down in Alabama,
Yeah.
and to that end,
I mean, to sit there and you are desperate, or you have an elderly person, or you have somebody who has a medical condition that has to go in a hotel, and for them to be taking advantage of, it's so, it would not happen where I come from, because people would run you out of town. You don't do that. You don't treat people like that in a hardship.
Well, then instead of having to pass laws, why not let the community run them out of town? Isn't that the American way?
so to that end, 30 states have a price gouging law. Only Michigan does not have, does have a price gouging law, so Michigan's included in the 30 states, but only Michigan does not have this provision that during a state of an emergency, this is what you can and cannot do. And we actually modeled our legislation after red Gulf states like Florida, like Arkansas, like North Carolina on the Mid-Atlantic. When they deal with emergencies like hurricanes, their Republican attorneys general go after these folks using this law.
Well,
we don't have hurricanes, but we got windstorms, we
I'm
got
not
summer flooding.
advocating for
Yeah, you're
these
playing
things.
devil's advocate.
Well, I'm just trying to think of what is it that the other side is arguing and saying. What is their position against this?
So when we passed this bill out of the Senate, when we had our Democratic trifecta, and so only Democrats voted for it and all Republicans voted against it, one of the Republican senators speaking on the Senate floor said, the market should decide. And I said, we definitely modeled our legislation after the progressive liberal bastion of Arkansas. So, I can see your point. Obviously, even the most free market people can understand that when you need an emergency supply, it is un-American to gouge somebody.
But so they are really making that argument.
They are really making that argument. I'll give you, you can do your research. I'm not gonna on video call out somebody by name. But we worked on this during COVID, and I had a Republican senator who co-sponsored the package with me during the period of time where masks and toilet paper and everything else was getting jacked up. And Gretchen Whitmer took our legislation and wrote it into an executive order. And so Dana Nessel went after folks who were gouging emergency supplies. And a Republican colleague and I introduced these bills. When we could not get them past the finish line. When we introduced them, she voted against the bills that she had previously co-sponsored. So it was good during COVID, but the same bill, far removed from COVID, suddenly became a partisan bill. So again, we want to join states like North Carolina and Florida and Arkansas and 30 states around the country that during a period of an emergency, there are some stipulations about what businesses can and cannot do regarding housing, like hotels, as Jason talked about, regarding fuel, and regarding emergency supplies.
Now, is Mississippi included in this legislation?
Jason at one point knew every state and when Jason was my legislative director, he had to look up all 30 state laws on price gouging. So, I don't know, I can't remember if Mississippi.
I was making a joke, but that's
But really, our law, I'll tell you, our law was most fashioned after Arkansas. I mean, if you care to look it up. We have met with the Restaurant and Lodging Association, which had some challenges with it. Other states have made this work. They want us to go more towards Florida's law. Okay, so now we're looking at Florida's law. But regardless, we are still trying to get Michigan among every other state that has a price gouging law that says during a state of emergency, you can't be an unscrupulous actor here.
Mississippi is one of them too.
Mississippi is one of them. Thanks, Maddie. Maddie got it.
bringing it full circle.
Yeah. Maddie also texted me up here that the hours of which the feed is going to be banned, the algorithm, is 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. So your kids cannot keep scrolling between those hours if our bills would pass. What else do you want to talk about?
Actually, it'd be better if you push that to like 7:38ish, because then they wouldn't pick up their phone when they had to wake up from school.
Noted.
Just saying.
Noted.
And and when we were working on the cell phone ban in schools, I mean, one of the things that obviously came up was just the amount of social media that some of the students were on during school. I mean, and when they're on social media, there's a lot of bullying. Sometimes they are literally bullying each other in real time on social media during school. Something happens, they hop on Instagram and they're saying terrible things about each other in real time. And this is part of the reason why we all kind of wanted the ban. And this is happening, the ban was happening in a lot of places before we passed this law. Like, for example, it was happening in Farmington schools. And when Farmington Schools instituted their ban, the amount of bullying went down dramatically from one school year to the next. And a lot of schools, I know Southfield Public Schools was working on something. A lot of schools just wanted some guidance from the state to be able to help put their bans into place.
Well,
Maybe
putting
a little
the
cover.
10 Commandments up in the schools will help with bullying.
So I have a question regarding that cell phone ban in schools. So with that, if there's continued instances of like bullying that happens over social media or just on the phones, and the ban is not really put into place, it's just kind of, okay, well, it's a guideline, we're not gonna follow it type thing. Can the schools and the school officials and all that kind of be held accountable if it continues to persist, right? And they continue to allow cell phones in the classroom and in the school, despite the fact that there's a ban, right? And then kids continue to get bullied and they continue to use the phones. Is there gonna be some level of accountability from the adults?
I think there will always be certainly accountability. I mean, that's part of the reason why we put this law in place, is to be able to give schools the tools that they need to be able to put these bans into place. Like it is state law. You have to ban, you have to ban these cell phones within certain exceptions.
When does it start? This upcoming school year? August?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
it
but
starts
maybe
this
it's not.
upcoming school year, so we'll see how it works. But if I mean, this is in law now, state law,
Right.
so if they're not following,
So there will be repercussions if it's not followed.
I don't know, do the police come in? Like, how do you file a complaint?
That's actually a good question. I can't remember what the.
I can't remember
They
off
have
the
to have a
top of my
policy,
head.
it's a requirement, they have to have a
I'll have to look at
policy in
the-
each school district about what the requirements are to prevent phones from being used during school hours, instructional hours. So if they don't have a policy,
Lawyers will step.
yeah,
in.
lawyers
Yeah, they're
will
following
step
the
in.
law, yeah.
The state would step in, the Department of Ed would come in and say, what's your policy? Let's go,
I've got some stuff
let's do
I'm
it.
working on a
Let's
little
hear
bit.
it.
I have a bill that just came out of Senate committee, so I'll be heading to the Senate floor. I know you've heard me speak about this a lot, gift card fraud. Right now, we are experiencing enormous levels of gift card fraud. For any of you who made it through the holiday season and your gift cards worked, congratulations. So what's happening is these big rings, like these are big enterprises. This is not going after someone who steals a gift card because they've fallen on hard times. These are organized retail crimes, people with sophisticated information, and they can go in, and what they do is they can scan the gift card. So they can take the back and then just scan all of the numbers, and then they feed them into a spreadsheet. And so you, not knowing, will purchase one of those gift cards, and when you go to activate it, it alerts the system on their spreadsheet that it's been activated, and they can steal the $50 before you even know it's missing.
Wow.
Yeah,
So-
it happened to me.
Oh, I am so sorry. No one buy a gift card right now. I'm being serious. The gift cards, so many of my friends went to use their gift cards over the holiday season and they were zero. So it's destroying our retail industry. So what it'll do is it'll move this provision into the Organized Retail Crime Act, so our Attorney General can finally start going after them. Michigan, I don't know if you guys know this, but Michigan right now is one of the model states for organized retail crime. Dana Nessel has become one of the front runners for making sure that these kind of crimes are really, really, I guess, what am I, litigated against? I don't know what the right word is. Prosecuted, yes, thank you, lawyers. So it was kind of crazy that Michigan didn't have this in their Organized Retail Crime Act. So that should hopefully be happening soon. But that's a good bill.
It's a good.
I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was named Legislator of the Year last week because of it. I'm really just waiting for a time for a clap, so. But that's all I got. It's budget season. Sorry, I saw your hand was up.
Oh, I just wanted to make another comment about the cell phones in school. Someone from another state said that when they banned them in their schools, the noise level in the cafeteria went way up. Because the kids started talking to each other again.
I mean, I can't imagine. I'm 42 years old and I had to shut off all access to Twitter. Like if you were to send me something to look at, I have no way of getting on Twitter. And again, this is years worth of like self-work, you know? I can't imagine a 13-year-old having to go through this without any life experience. I have no wonder the mental health crisis in our youth is so high.
Are we taking other questions?
Sure.
Before we get to those, I just want to make sure I mention this. As you all are aware, and we've talked about this a number of times, we have a little ice problem here in Southfield. There's an ice, there's an ice office not too far from here, and there's been a lot of questions about what to do if you encounter ice. And we want to make sure that you certainly have the tools necessary in case you do. And so Representative Steckloff and I are holding a Know Your Rights Town Hall. It will be here, actually this Thursday from 5:30 to 7. If you forget, I have flyers. They are out on the table in the front, but here's the flyers just in case.
Please come, tell your friends.
Yes.
We have experts coming in to talk to you about what your rights are. So if you ever were to get pulled over, you have a friend that is, because it's up to every single one of us to know our rights.
Yeah. Also, rights, knowing your rights when you're in a protest. As we've had a number of protests, No King's Day, No King's Day. There's a protest this weekend at the Romulus ice facility, and so we also want to make sure you have all the tools you need in case you are ever out at a protest too.
Thank you for saying
ICE was, one of our Lathrop villagers saw 4 ICE vehicles on 11 Mile in Southfield, just east of Lathrop Village. Recently, a couple days ago.
Well, the flights are, more and more flights out of Willow Run and DTW are happening, so. We knew they were gonna gear up, but they've geared up.
Yes.
So maybe I can piggyback on that too. We have a group that is called ICE Out of Southfield, Southfield Neighbors Action Committee. And I have information if you'd like to get on that email and find out. There's going to be a demonstration Thursday right before.
Oh, yeah, there is.
Townhall.
You
Yes.
should direct people to
4:30.
then go to the town hall.
Yes,
Exactly. That demonstration's at 4:30 at the site of where the ICE lawyers have rented space. It's Town Square building, and you can find out how to get there. You can put one corporate drive in your GPS to find out where to park and so on. But anyway, that demonstration's happening Thursday right before Representative Hoskins. And if you want to know about continuing actions, I have a little paper here. So,
All right.
Where is this located at, the ice place, where did you say it is?
it's the one Town Square.
It's basically at Northwestern
Trying to
Highway
think
and
where we are.
Lasser.
Yeah.
There's a large office complex there, and one of the offices in the large building is being leased by governmental services, and they are placing ICE's lawyers and administrators in that office space. So the detention facility is now, I don't even know what the state of the process is, but it's been proposed or being worked on in Romulus, and they're housing all the lawyers here in Southfield.
So Romulus went on and did what they, even
I know the mayor protested. Was anyone at the recent you were at is there an update that you know from Romulus? It was a warehouse that they're turning into a detention facility,
and they're
but
still doing that.
the mayor didn't want it, the community's protesting. I don't know if you have more
Attorney
information.
General Nessel also protested because they didn't follow the procedures and the place doesn't really have the water and the electricity and all the things
infrastructure.
they need. However, that's probably only gonna delay. They're gonna keep trying to get it in there somehow or other. There's a lot of opposition to it, but, the government is strong and it's gonna keep on, so we have to be strong.
It's almost like thank God for the horrible water infrastructure we currently have.
Yeah.
Like, 14 Mile, keep busting.
Yeah, but like the Great Lakes Water Authority and
Yeah.
all the people who have to make those decisions are pretty much caving. I think they're giving in.
What about the fire marshal?
I don't know exactly about the details of that. It's just, continues to be in process. So,
And there's a hunger strike going on, I believe, right now at the Baldwin Detention Center.
right.
So I don't really have updates on that, but I do know that many of the detainees are participating in the hunger strike.
Do they catch, when they're doing this catching of people, do they ever get Americans?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
And so what do,
Citizens.
so what do they do? Do they turn them loose automatically or?
No. There's not like an automatic process.
At all?
I mean,
Okay.
sometimes some people get out, it might take them a week or it might take them 2 weeks, but some
Or
people
months.
just don't get out.
Yeah.
So I wanna ask, so if knowing your rights, does that help you once you get rounded up?
Yeah.
Does.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you're just being taken and you don't know what to do, and they're counting on you not knowing what your rights are. So that's why we're trying to get ahead of the schedule. We've been hosting these all over Michigan on purpose because we knew ICE was coming. I mean, they're here, but we knew that the summer was the potential of them really, really gearing up, which is why we've been watching the Romulus facility so much, because that's kind of going to be like the flashing lights of it's go time. So we're putting these together. ACLU will be there. We can't stop everything, but you saw what happened in Minnesota when everyone finally started getting educated. Neighbors were helping neighbors. They had to leave. The destruction lasted, but it didn't last. It's not lasting in perpetuity. So these things do work. It's just such a sad situation. It's hard to, yeah.
Fathom.
Yeah. I mean, our leader, who is South Asian, he walks around with his passport on him all the time.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, that's what, it's a really sad story.
If they look at your passport.
Yeah,
if
people
they
are
let
showing
you
them.
show your passport.
Will
There's
your
stories
passport-
about people get picked up and their documents were in the car.
Yeah,
They don't even care. We don't want to see your documents.
yeah.
Well, passport isn't gonna necessarily tell you whether or not you have a legal right to be here in the United States.
If you have an American passport,
It's
you
a
have.
US passport, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's I guess if it's an American passport.
US passport.
Because you had to show the right paperwork to get it.
But, a green card, naturalization,
All of those.
those aren't even sufficient documents anymore. Wow, can we end on something happier?
Oh,
Sorry.
Oh, no. Wednesday?
Oh, no, I got a little bit more.
Okay.
And I actually have like numbers and committees and everything. I'm so excited. I have a couple of stories for you, but I'm gonna hold off. There are gonna be reasons why the MOC really needs to be held accountable across the state for their lack of doing their job.
Okay.
Bill 5211 through 52113 of 2025, there's several different things in there. The one big thing that everybody has concerned about is the 50-50 custody because of how it will affect domestic violence victims. That is going to be a hearing on Wednesday.
Okay, those are all Wednesday.
Everybody just found out today and everybody's circling the wagons. The task force for children dealing with CPS and guardian ad litems, that was done by the Supreme Court, and another group, Lisa speaks, and a bunch of other attorneys. Senator Sam Singh, who I believe is from Lansing, he has got that bill, it's been referred to the Committee on Civil Rights, Judiciary, and Public Safety. So if you could please keep a watch on that. One thing that I was hoping to add with that, it doesn't include guardian ad litems and attorneys and judges for the front of the court. Even though the CPS deals with the front of the court,
It doesn't have the front of the court.
it's not included in that.
Okay.
I've already written Senator saying I have not gotten anything back because I'm sorry. Emailing is like, I feel like a dark abyss, hole, black hole.
Can you let Senator Chang know also? She's the chair of that committee.
Chang?
Yeah.
Okay. Rowan's Act, obviously was heard on, April 22nd by the Civil Rights Judiciary and Safety Committee, so we're hoping to have a vote on that soon. So hopefully it will be coming into, the Senate House. Let's see, I've been trying to get in touch with the Front of the Court Brewery Advisory, and that's another black hole. I mean, I will say that Melissa Sweet, who is part of the Judiciary Committee,
The clerk, yeah.
she called me back, and Dave from Representative Leitner called me back today, so that was awesome. Kudos
Look
to
at
them.
that, someone doing work.
I'm really trying to get together an advocacy day. What I was hoping is to somehow visit the state, not just me, but a bunch of people, visit the state, the Senate, the House of Representatives, and just educate y'all on what's going down and all the issues and everything. And I'm trying to figure out how this is done, but every time I talk to somebody, I just get more confused. Somebody's laughing.
Just did one.
I mean, it's like, you
Yeah,
can't
you
do
know,
this,
it's
but
hard.
you can't do that, but you can't do this, but you can't do that, and I'm just like, felt like I was in a freaking merry-go-round.
Who told you what you couldn't do?
Yeah.
Shit.
Or what couldn't you do?
We couldn't advocate for a bill inside the state building.
Whoever told you that, I don't know what they were saying.
I was kind of wondering.
You should absolutely advocate.
That's like
for
the
that.
whole point of having an advocacy day.
You know,
That's why we're here. So Jen, I'm not helping, because I just helped someone with their advocacy day and it was a lot of work. That's the only reason some of us are chuckling, because it was a lot more work than I was expecting.
right.
What you should do is you should meet with the chair, see if you can get a meeting with the chair or her staff, and meet with members of the committee that it's in. So right now it's in the Committee on Judiciary, Public Safety, and Civil Rights. And are you familiar with our Senate website? You can go see exactly who's on the committee.
Oh, yeah, I got
Yep.
that down.
Call those offices and say, I'm gonna be with a group in Lansing on whatever day. Can we meet with you and your staff and talk about these bills? You should be talking about bills that are on the docket in a state building.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing you cannot talk about in a state building is campaign stuff.
I got a question to kind of piggyback off that.
Yeah.
So she's mentioning going with like a group, similar topics, similar like lines. If people were to approach just on like a solo basis, would they be taken as seriously as groups, or if you had
Sure.
to discuss a bill of some sorts, or?
Sure. We field calls all the time, and we do get and I would say this: don't feel like an email goes into a dark abyss.
Yeah, mine, it gets counted.
Maddie in my office responds to emails as they come in, and some of them produce action items out of them, and some of them people just want to know where I stand on a bill. We respond.
I haven't got a response from one I sent you one.
We can look at it, but I mean, we respond to hundreds of emails a week.
I understand that, which is
So
why
I
I don't
don't-
bark about it too much.
Yeah, don't feel like it falls into a dark abyss, and I apologize for that, but we discuss emails on a weekly basis of things that are coming into the office.
Also, I need to talk to you about AI and AI centers. You had mentioned something earlier, and
Well, let's do one thing at a time.
yeah.
So,
If you have specific questions also about logistics of getting to the Capitol for a day, further about like what could or couldn't happen or anything like that, you can email us that as well. We can try to get
yeah, so
We can help you with logistics.
the question is, if you have a question for your lawmaker, call your lawmaker. If you have an email for your lawmaker, email your lawmaker. The hierarchy of contacting your lawmaker, the worst way to message your lawmaker, is to contact them on social media. You will be surprised how many Instagram messages I get on bills. Do not message me on Instagram
Same.
if you want a response on a bill.
Once again, I don't have Twitter.
The next level up, starting from the bottom, The next level up that we don't always respond to, and I'm not putting you in this category, but we don't always respond to form emails. Some of these things are one click. You add your name, and within a matter of 30 seconds, we have 250 emails that say the same thing. We don't have the capacity to churn out a response. So in our auto response, we actually say, thank you for contacting our office. We don't respond to form emails. And so we log them. Maddie tells me how many we got hundreds on something this morning that Maddie was telling me about. So we log them just to kind of get a temperature. But if it was just one click, you're gonna get the same output back. You know, you're gonna get one click back. Thank you for contacting us. You're not getting a response to a form email. It's just too difficult for us to keep up. You know, when I was an intern in the legislature when I was in college, 17 years ago, there weren't all of these sites where we would get 100 emails in a minute. So we did respond to every email. Now, with change.org or everything else, it's very challenging. The next level up is a personal email, and you probably wrote a personal email, and we apologize for the oversight of that, but that is a really good way to get a response, or a phone call. We do get handwritten letters still, right? So that's a great way to get a response. We love opening the mail in our office. The next best thing you can do is what you're doing right now.
Here.
You're coming here. We do this once a month, and I've been doing this once a month for 12 years. So I haven't been hiding from anybody, and neither do our legislators. And if you have a personal question, we field personal questions here, as you know. And then the best way to do it is schedule a meeting in our office. We don't have district offices. We all work out of Lansing. That's our main office. If you have the capacity to go up to Lansing, so we do these in the district because we don't have district offices. But if you have the capacity to come up with a group, with an association that can advocate, that's a good way to do it. But we take individual meetings, people who are in Lansing and want to talk with us or want to talk with our staff about something and sit down for a period of time. So yeah, the reason associations exist is because there's power in numbers. You're wearing a Moms Demand Action shirt. We could have one-off people, talk to us about gun safety, but when you have a bunch of people banding together, Moms Demand Action has a lobby day. I think you have a lobby day tomorrow.
As a matter of fact.
I have a meeting with you tomorrow.
I'm not gonna be there, but that's why I'm here today.
So Moms Demand Action, they came together, they care about gun safety, they have a lobby day. So people all over the state who are part of Moms Demand Action schedule meetings with our offices. And I know I have a meeting with my constituents as a part of this day tomorrow in my office. So it's good, groups in numbers are good, but if you had the capacity to come up to Lansing and wanted to advocate and wanted to meet with me or my staff, we would facilitate that.
Stopping in is hard because depending on our schedule, depending on the day, like Tuesdays I'm in committee all day, so if you were to stop by my office, your only shot is to speak to my staff. So we just like to schedule those in advance too. But
Yeah.
This is definitely the best way.
Yeah. On that note, yes, we can take some other lingering questions with Jen.
You know what I'm gonna
here.
ask you about? Have you heard any, on the status of the Cedar Safe Schools bill?
No, I haven't yet. I'll check with the Education Committee Chair on that.
I understand that Beth was asked for a new quote, so they're hoping they will come up.
Good,
Yeah.
good. I've co-sponsored it,
On the
as
other
you
side
know.
of the budget process.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. This week, even though I was told my committees can't meet this week just because it's all budget, so we're gonna go late
Good.
on Tuesday, late
There
on
are
Wednesday, and
committees
possibly
that
into
are meeting.
Thursday. So I'll talk to the Education Committee Chair on that bill.
Okay,
Yeah.
we are about to send out an action alert about the kids over clicks.
Yeah, good.
Great.
So good. Thank you for the help on that. Great. Yeah, Eric.
Oh, yes. I just got an email today that the Speaker of the House, Matt Hall, has taken direct aim at our sector. He recently labeled Michigan Arts and Culture Council, MACC,
Oh yeah.
grants as very wasteful
Yes.
and wants to do a 100% cut to their
He did.
funding, which would fully eliminate $11 million in annual grants that support local theaters, museums, youth education, and community festivals in every county in Michigan.
Yes, Julie Rogers made an amendment on Wednesday, Representative Julie Rogers out of Kalamazoo. She made an amendment to reinstitute those dollars, and they voted it down. So currently in the House budget, there is, that line item is zeroed out.
And what we talked about earlier is that this is the first step, and the House Republicans are putting forward the worst budget imaginable. Senate Democrats are trying to put forward the best budget imaginable. So hopefully we will be able to spare these ridiculous cuts as we go through the process.
But thank you for paying attention to
Yeah,
everyone.
so we'll keep you posted along the way.
Yeah,
Any other lingering questions?
forgot about that one.
All right, we are gonna be, oh yes, go
I
ahead.
just wanted to say thank you for being so responsive. You know, I try to be here as often as I can, and also Southfield City Council meets on Monday nights too, and so, you know, but I just always feel when I come here that you answer people's questions and people
Thank you.
can be heard.
Tell your friends.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you. We're gonna do this next week again in Bloomfield, for my Bloomfield area constituents with Rep. Steckloff.
I might be a little late, depends on when my flight gets in.
Yes, we'll see you at the Bloomfield
Family
Library in a
Roberts.
week. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.